lawyers, and I just want to compare them and then ideally pick one of them. So how should I go about it?
Well, as you know, there's Google, there's Yelp, there's Clearway. That's now created a whole new market in specific, which I think is great. So you want to get access to a bunch of them. Then you want to be able to kind of separate what your issue is from just lawyers. So in Canada, there's solicitors and barristers and litigators. In our system, a lawyer is everything.
Right.
In England, you're a barrister, you're a solicitor, totally different.
They can do contracts, they can go to court and argue.
Yes,
Right.
yes, that's what that is. Yes, you're right. And so, just to be clear, that's what. So a solicitor is more of the kind of creating businesses, doing the contracts, reviewing the contracts, and litigator goes to court. But in our jurisdiction and in Canada, you can do both.
Right.
So you want to be sure you're not hiring. You're getting sued, or you want to sue someone. You don't necessarily want to hire a solicitor that's never done that.
Sure.
Right. So the first thing you kind of want to do is figure out the area of law, and that can be difficult because you might think it's employment, but it might be human rights. You might think it's I get situations sometimes where somebody comes to me and it's an ex-spouse / partner, but really the issue is contractual. It was a business deal they did together. So they might think I want a divorce lawyer, but it's actually just a kind of regular run-of-the-mill commercial litigator.
Right.
So that can be difficult. I would suggest, and I do this for other things in my life when I'm looking into, is try and make your search as specific with good keywords as possible, so you're getting in the realm that you want, right? And then you want to see what reviews, are the reviews really bad? And to be fair, I think we all have experience with sometimes bad reviews that are so ridiculous, they're angry about that person. And then you also have good reviews that are so ridiculous, they're best friends of that person, right?
Or themselves.
Yeah, or themselves, or who knows, right? And I've seen that in the other worlds, Amazon, Google, so,
Sure.
You want to make sure that you want to put some effort into that, I think. But then, I guess, once you find the area, then you want to look at, there's some budgetary issues. So there's some huge international law firms. They're expensive. They're great. They're expensive.
Right.
You want to get a sense of what your budget is. So I would say you should also have an idea of what you can afford, and at least for the retainer. And the retainer is the deposit that kind of gets things going.
And what's common for a retainer?
Well, so I would say a retainer averages about 1,000 to 5,000, at least for me anyways.
Right.
And the difference really is this a one-off thing I can help you with? Or are we now working together for a year on this?
Right.
So if it's a lawsuit, you want to start a lawsuit, the retainer is the drafting is the first step, but that's the first step of many.
Right.
And once you start a lawsuit, you're in the lawsuit.
And the other side can do things to you that you weren't even planning. Like they can file an application and now you're involved in responding to that, even though you hadn't originally budgeted for that.
100%. So sometimes, if you want to start a lawsuit, it's very difficult when someone comes to me and says, what's that going to cost? I ask as many questions as I can. Unfortunately, the X factor in that situation is the other side. You just hit the nail on the head.
And the courts as well.
And the courts, and I've unfortunately had to go to court sometimes, and there's, in some instances, no judges. I had a trial just before COVID hit. The week before, we were gearing up, preparing for trial. COVID hits, courts are closed.
Right.
People get sick, stuff happens. And that's not even accounting the other side's intention of trying to just, make your case as expensive as possible.
Right.
Sometimes people do that as well. So what I try to do is break it down into pieces as best I can, give them a sense of what they're in for. The difficulty is if you're being sued, you don't really have a lot of choices. Your choice is do it on your own and then get a lawyer that maybe is the cheapest lawyer, but not a great lawyer with a lot of experience, or get a lawyer that you feel comfortable with that you wish you didn't have to pay as much as you do, but you have to pay, and it's money well spent, because often lawyers that put the effort in and have the right attitude can try to settle things, so that's important. And also don't waste time because they kind of know what
The best path.
The best path.
Yeah, even though it's not known, but it's
yes, or even how to
likely.
shut down some other silliness on the other
Right,
side,
right.
or how not to waste time. On, like you said, if someone files an application, okay, look, there's no merit to that.
Right.
We can send a junior to deal with that.
Right.
Or we can, be aggressive and say, look, what, if you guys do to continue to do this,
Yeah.
these are the reasons that you're not going to be successful, and
We'll seek
we're going to
costs.
seek special
Yeah.
costs and stuff like that. So there's times to do that, there's times, and unfortunately there's other times there's just nothing you can do.
Right.
It's just, if someone is willing to lie and be deceitful to the court, it just extends things. It takes longer. The court system is dependent on certain things, people following certain rules, people not lying in court, not lying on affidavits. Those things, I will say, eventually come out, but way more expensive. Way more expensive, and it takes just time. So the first thing is you want to understand or figure out what kind of area of law. The next thing I would do is then set up some appointments. I know this is kind of a newer thing, but there are lawyers that ask for money to sit down with you to talk about your case. That's not our style to do that. Most of the people that come to us, it's just not realistic they can handle their own cases. It's just, it's not small claims.
Right.
It's not basic.
They're complex.
They're complex, and,
Right.
and I also try not to, but sometimes I handle cases that a layperson has started, and those can be difficult too. Or you're sometimes the next lawyer involved with it.
Right.
Because, honestly, and I still remember this, it's been a while, but when you read things in a claim, you read it with a common sense attitude when you're not a lawyer. But when you read it as a lawyer, like, okay, well, they don't say breach of contract, but that's what they're pleading here.
Right.
They don't say misrepresentation, but that's what they've said. They've said not truthful, maybe. And then even if they did say misrepresentation, do you actually know what that means as a
And
layperson?
do they meet the elements and all that stuff too?
The pieces of 100%.
Yeah.
And so something that can be a few pages can be very complex.
Right.
And done incorrectly, so you respond in your pleadings incorrectly, can cause problems because it has to be fixed. And the bottom line is, if it's not in your pleadings, you can't use it through the process because the courts are not going to guess what you think your defense is or even what your claim is. So you might plead your claim incorrectly, miss some key point where, like defamation is a good example. Defamation is very structured, and it's very, you have to be very specific. For example, the exact words necessarily. On a defense, there's very specific and
Right.
important defenses to defamation.
Yeah.
And you can say to a judge, hey judge, but it's true what I said, but if you didn't plead it, it's not in the evidence,
Yeah.
it's not real.
But they can hire a lawyer to amend the pleadings that they made a mistake on.
Yeah, but again, it's kind of like, it's kind of a joke that I used to hear. You go into your mechanic's office and the mechanic says, look, you bring it to us, it's $100 an hour. You try and fix it yourself first, it's $150 an hour, because they've got to undo what you did and then do it right.
Sure.
And there's some truth to that. It's always my preference to have a really good, engaged, smart client that comes to me before they start doing stuff. That's the best way to do it, right? And we do it together.
Right.
I say, hey, look, this part you can actually do. Save yourself some money, you can do, and this part I've got to do, or we've got to do as a team. And then I think the next thing you want to do is, after you've assessed them, comfortable with them, then go and ask them a lot of questions. Ask them questions. Ask them specific questions. There's a thing called canly.org. Look up and see if they have any cases, if it's a litigation matter, right?
Right.
Law
You can
societies.
type in like defamation, like Vancouver, and
Yeah.
read some judges' decisions.
Yeah, yeah. You know what?
Right.
Not enough people do that. Just to get a sense of what the case is, right?
Yeah.
See, if a lawyer should say, I'm not comfortable with it, but, maybe they think they're comfortable with it and they don't have much experience. If you the more you know, the better it is. Now,
Sure.
I have clients that come in and they've read one case and they think they know all of the law. It's like, but you know what? I appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
You know?
It's one step in the right direction.
One step in the right direction, and then now I know this person's invested. We're gonna, they're gonna work with me well.
Right.
So, but the canly.org, search the lawyer's name, Law Society webpage, see if they got any, hits against them. Or,
Right. Any complaints,
Yeah,
investigations.
Complaints maybe not the end of the world.
Right.
Where the Law Society says he did something wrong.
Well, it has to go
great,
pretty
son.
far to
Yeah.
end up on the website.
Yeah. If it's on the website, you can read what the judge or
Right.
sort of the panel says about that lawyer. and then you can assess. So those are good things you should do. Google's not bad. I'd recommend Google as much as I would in any other part of your life, like with your accountant and your mechanic and your dentist. Like, don't use it as verbatim, but if they got 1,000 reviews and 4.5 is their average, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
If they got 10 and 5
1,000 might be a bit suspicious because most law firms don't get that many.
That's a good
but I'd say maybe about 20 to 40, 20 to 50, depending on the size of the firm. I just want to point out that the largest firms, they normally have Denton's has 15 reviews.
Okay,
so I've seen some real estate lawyers and personal injury lawyers that have 2,000 5-star reviews. I'm suspicious. It doesn't mean it's impossible.
No. You know what? It's a good point. I never thought of that. I agree with you, and I would stay away from those.
Right.
And I understand why you're saying, which is they're fabricated, I guess, effectively.
I think it's impossible.
Okay, so then I would do that. So then I would get that background. And you can do that yourself. I love the idea of looking into a case or two. And so, just so you know, you want a case in this jurisdiction, so in the province you're in, and you want a recent case. You don't want a super old case.
Last 3 years kind of thing.
Yeah, that'd be great. And if you really, really want, I don't recommend this necessarily if you're not too familiar with law, but the Court of Appeal cases are great. But I think you might be asking a bit
much challenging.
Yeah, and the other thing is, don't be scared to type in leading case defamation. You come up with some good stuff because
into Canley or Google?
Into Canley.
Okay.
Yeah, because what it'll say is a judge will often have a decision, and when the decisions are called reasons, but the judge will say the leading case in defamation that I'm using is this case, and now you can go to that case. You just hit on that case, and you're like, okay, and they're using there's a leading case because it'll outline the steps, what's important. Now, we can get into this another time, but that's not verbatim, right?
Right.
But it's a great starting point.
Right.
Then I would go to them and I would say, hey, how many cases have you worked on like this? I would have them, I always ask to see the pleadings, or if it's a letter, a threatening letter, or I ask them to send me an outline of the facts before we meet, so that I'm not like, hey, my name's Dean, I could do law stuff. I'm like, okay,
it's
about your case, your case, these are the issues I think, my personal style is different from many other lawyers, but I really ask a lot of questions, and I don't take answers that I don't think are great. I don't want it softened and tell me the best story. Tell me what actually happened. And if I feel like it's not, you might be skipping something to look better, I'll go after you. Yeah, because I can't help you if you don't tell me the truth.
Well, it's going to come out anyway when there's trial and the other side starts pressing into them on the witness stand.
You know what? I always tell people it comes out at some point. You might think you're a great liar, but you got to say it 10 times. It's got to be the same way 10 times. It's got to be under oath. And guess what? This is stressful stuff.
Right.
So let's just start, and I also say to clients, I don't care what the truth is. I just need to know it.
Right.
You can work with it. At least I can give you better advice. The better advice might be settle.
What I mean? Because you did it, and you actually have the liability.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse.
Right.
Especially, and the truth is too, judges don't like it when you lie.
Right.
So they're not going to say, oh, this person's lying, but I'm going to give them the benefit on the other case. You're just digging yourself deeper. So be comfortable asking questions. Of your lawyer, if it doesn't make sense, ask. That doesn't make sense to me, or what do you mean by that? Don't let them bamboozle you with
fancy words that you don't understand. And
if they're doing that, then imagine how they're going to advise you through the whole litigation if they can't get a point across to you now.
Yeah, how are they going to communicate to a judge if they can't understand?
But not even a judge, but to you. They're there to advise you to make decisions.
Right.
If they can't advise you in a way you can understand, so you can say, oh, okay, I can make a decision now, then what use are they, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're just trying to sound smart, that's no value.
No.
There's no value to anybody, right? So I go after them a little bit, not rude, obviously. You would want to help them. Ask them what you think it would cost. It's never
ballpark kind of thing.
But what I do is I break it down. First stage is going to be this, and then I also say on every stage we're going to reassess. We're going to talk about it again, and then I'm going to give you the information you need to say, let's go this way, let's do that. And then, but I will say, hey, if you want to start a lawsuit, you're talking 30, 40, 50,000, because we're talking a trial, examinations for discovery, pleadings, so the best lawsuit ever is 10 to 15,000. Some of them get ridiculous. And then, we've mentioned before that you can't control what the other side does.
Mm-hmm.